Have you ever heard a story so shocking that it makes you question everything you thought you knew? Well, this one will leave you speechless. A beautiful woman with a smile that could melt the coldest heart was sent on a dangerous mission. Her target was none other than Apostle Johnson Suleman. But what happened next shocked everyone to the core. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe because you're about to hear a story you won't want to miss. It all started on a quiet Sunday morning in Auchi. Apostle Johnson Suleman had just concluded a powerful church service, and as usual, people lined up to greet him and seek prayers. Among the crowd stood a woman dressed elegantly in a simple white gown, her long braids falling perfectly over her shoulders. Her beauty was disarming, and her gentle smile made her appear completely harmless. But behind that angelic face was a plan, one that could destroy the apostle's life in an instant. Her name was Patricia. She had been hired by a group of people who wanted to ruin the apostle's reputation at all costs. Their strategy was simple but deadly. Seduce him, record everything, and release it online. They promised her a life-changing sum of money if she succeeded. Patricia had done similar jobs before, but this one felt different. The target wasn't an ordinary man. It was a man millions looked up to as a spiritual father. Patricia spent days studying his movements. She learned his preaching schedule, the hotels he stayed in when he traveled, even the restaurants he liked. Her employers were precise. They wanted her to catch him off guard, to create a scandal that would spread like wildfire. She waited patiently, knowing the right moment would come. One evening, after a conference in Lagos, Patricia made her move. She checked into the same hotel as the apostle, wearing a striking red dress that turned heads in the lobby. She waited until she saw him returning from the meeting hall, surrounded by a few aides. As he passed by, their eyes met for a brief moment and she gave a polite smile. That was all she needed. The seed had been planted. Over the next 2 days, she found ways to bump into him. In the elevator, in the restaurant, even in the hotel corridor. She was always respectful, always friendly, but never too forward. She wanted him to notice her without suspecting a thing. Finally, on the third night, she got her chance. She left a note at the hotel reception addressed to him, thanking him for his inspiring sermons and inviting him for a cup of tea in the lounge. But what happened next was nothing like she expected. Apostle Suleman received the note, read it carefully, and instead of going to the lounge alone, he went with two of his security aides. When Patricia saw him approach, she froze. He sat down opposite her, calm and composed, and said, "You came here with a purpose, but before you take another step, I want you to think carefully about what you're doing." Patricia's hands trembled. How did he know? She forced a smile and tried to play innocent, but the apostle's piercing gaze never wavered. Then, without raising his voice, he said something that left her speechless. "You were sent to destroy me. I know who sent you and I know how much they promised you, but I also know you don't really want to do this." Her heart skipped a beat. No one had ever confronted her like this. She stammered, denying everything, but deep inside, fear began to rise. The apostle leaned forward slightly and said, "Patricia, God sees everything. And if you go through with this, it will not end the way you think." Tears welled up in her eyes. She had come prepared to record their conversation, but now she couldn't even move. She felt exposed, like he could see right through her soul. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small envelope and slid it across the table. "This is for your transport back home. Leave this path before it destroys you." Patricia opened the envelope and found a modest sum of money. Not the fortune she had been promised, but enough to get her out of Lagos. Her plan had failed, but instead of anger or revenge, the apostle had shown her mercy. That night, she packed her bags and left the hotel in tears. She never took another blackmail job again. Days later, the group who had sent her tried to contact her, but she ignored their calls. They threatened her, but she stayed silent. The story never made it to the headlines because Patricia couldn't go through with the plan. The most shocking part? Years later, Patricia sent a handwritten letter to the apostle, apologizing for everything. She confessed that his calmness and mercy had changed her life completely. She had given her life to God and was now helping other young women escape the same traps she had once fallen into. Sometimes the most powerful response to evil isn't anger or revenge. It's unexpected kindness that disarms even the coldest heart.